do any research about this, they love shooting dogs. They will shoot Pekingese, Chihuahuas, all the dangerous dogs. Okay? And we're not talking pit bulls that are owned by drug lords. They love shooting dogs, and they will always claim that they feel threatened. And for those of you who think, well, they must have felt threatened, go to the New York Times a few weeks ago and look up the article that reports on how often police in New York City lie on police reports. And if you don't believe the Times and don't believe me, find a defense attorney and ask that defense attorney, because I did a lot of research on that too for my book. Ask the defense attorney how often she or he has discovered that a policeman or policewoman has lied on a police report. It's endemic. Okay? So, dead dogs, pools of blood. They made, the mayor comes downstairs, freaked out. The SWAT team guys are screaming at the mother-in-law, where are they, where are they? She doesn't know what's going on, okay? She and the mayor are on their knees, like this, for hours. He's saying, I'm the mayor. They don't believe him. These are county officials, not town officials. The only way this gets resolved is a cop car from that town drives by, sees the commotion, and they stop and they say, what's going on? And someone says, oh, there's a nut job in there who claims that he's the mayor of Berwyn. And they say, well, he is the mayor of Berwyn. How did the package get there? It's a very complicated scam where people who want drugs to circulate send them to a FedEx depository, and someone there is supposed to get a hold of it. And it's just, these are random addresses, okay? This mayor never got an apology for what was done to his house. They did apologize for shooting his dog, okay? Because he's a mayor, he did manage to get a lawsuit in his favor, and he did manage to get laws changed in his county. But if it had been you or me, we would have never gotten anywhere. It's only because he was a mayor he got as much done as he did. And the big problem is there is absolutely no supervision of SWAT teams in this country. Okay? There's no supervision of how did they get the warrant, who's the judge who gave them the warrant, how many warrants does this judge issue every year? Do these warrants actually lead to real arrests on real charges? Okay? And does any of this really work? However, if people are arrested on drug charges, whether they are legitimate or not, it's good for a police department. Described 20 years ago, if a cop started screaming, he was pulled off the line. A screaming cop is an out-of-control cop. Not anymore. Now cops project their power by the full panoply of the SWAT team, and by screaming, by shouting, by intimidation. In the old days, it used to be power was silence and a soft voice and control by their presence. Now it's very different. So that's all happening. But we are not powerless in the face of it, and that's the other side of the story. We've all seen the flip side of Ferguson, which is the cops don't have control. They don't have complete control. Because everybody who has a cell phone has a perfect weapon against continued militarization of the police. Everybody who puts a video on the internet is able to combat that one person at a time, one video at a time. You all have the power, wherever you are, we all have, to find out what weapons our local police forces or our counties have, and find out and discuss whether we think they're appropriate. In Davis, California, a college town, the police chief thought, oh, I need an armored personnel carrier. Well, as I was saying to someone before, what little boy doesn't want to grow up and have a great big tank with a machine gun? Okay, I was joking, yeah, Lexus came out with a 350 SUV with a machine gun as on top, they would probably sell like crazy. You know, even if it was a fake machine gun, people would love it, you know. Boys love their toys. So in Davis, they can the police chief got this armored personnel carrier. Well, Davis is a pretty liberal town, and the town erupted. They said, no, the school is not a hotbed of revolution. The town is not a dangerous place to live. We don't need it. They petitioned the city council. The city council ordered the police department to get rid of it, and it worked. So we as people, and we the people, have the power to reverse this locally. Okay? And that's, I think, we have the power as individuals to be on our guard when we see abuses of power. This is why you'll see videos on TV, on the web where something is happening, and the first thing you will often hear from somebody who is abusing his power is, turn off your camera or get off the street. They don't want to be filmed. Okay? But you have a right to film anyone, anywhere on your property or any place, okay, in public. You can't not film. Okay? You can't be stopped from that. Okay? So you have power as individuals, and we have power as communities to find out what weapons our police departments have, and do they have drones? They're going to have drones, you know that. That's the next thing. I mean, helicopters are passé. Drones are the next thing. Armed drones are going to be the next thing after that. I, as a writer, why did I write the book? Because I thought, this is my way of campaigning. This is my way of speaking out against this abuse of power. This is something that I can do. And I have to tell you, I was a little leery of it at first. I thought, if I publish this book, will I make any enemies in the Lansing area? I mean, will there be, I'm serious, I thought, will I be one of those people who's put aside because I have a taillight out? I mean, lots of things happen in Michigan that you would be surprised at. For instance, if you're a store owner and you're driving down the highway with that day's cash, you've cashed out and you have $5,000. If you're stopped by the state police, they can confiscate your money under the assumption that it's drug money, and you might never get it back. There's a lot going on that most people don't realize, and we like to think, oh, it's going to happen to someone else. But that's why I wrote the book, because I want people to realize that it can happen to anyone, including people in the ivory tower. And I thought, I have to do this as a writer. So the book isn't a tract, okay? I don't write tracts. The book is a suspense novel. And the book is still set in academia, which is a crazy world, okay? As Borges said, bold men arguing over a cone. A lot of people fighting over very little, okay? But it is what Cocteau said, Je suis le mensonge qui dit la vérité. I am the lie that tells the truth. It's fiction, but it's about reality. And it's about a reality that I think we all need to think about. Whether we do anything about it or not, we need to think about it. We need to think about it for our future and the future of our children. Thank you.
We have a few minutes for questions. It's just about 8.
And I will be happy to sign copies of my book. Actually, I'll sign copies of anyone's book. I mean, if it's someone else's book, I'll just write, this isn't mine, but it's pretty good.
And the books we do have, the books are from Horizon Books. We do a credit card machine, and all the sales that we have of our Make of Love's book, Horizon donates 20% back to the league. So this is your chance to buy a book, have it signed, and that will be at that table. Any questions? Jay?
Could you comment, please, on the ability of our police forces to access money other than through our elected legislators?
How do you mean?
Well, they can apply for grants, they can get...
Yes, they get, see, this is a problem. They get grants for drug interdiction, and that's a really profitable thing to do. And But to keep getting the grant, they have to keep arresting people. So it's a circle. They have to keep doing drug busts even if there are no drugs there. But if they've done the arrest and arrested someone, even if that person doesn't go to jail, they have an arrest. So it's like the old days about, you know, how many parking tickets did you give out. So it's a system that's really corrupt. And part of the problem is that it's for, you know, it could be for minor possession. It doesn't matter. Anyone else? Yes?
Yeah. The man that filmed the Eric Garner takedown in New York.
Yeah, the choking.
Yeah, then they ended up arresting him on some kind of a...
Oh yeah, people will get arrested for anything. And that choking has been illegal for 20 years. Not illegal, has been, they were advised not to do it for 20 years. New York police were told not to do it. And, you know, you read, it's hard not to be horrified. And I personally, when I see somebody who's unarmed, not a threat, not doing anything, taken to down like that, I start flashing on film of Nazi Germany. I'm not calling them Nazis, but I start thinking of the places where I have seen innocent people being brutalized. And of course we've seen it elsewhere, we've seen it in communist countries too. It's not what you expect to happen in the US, but it does happen. And what's horrifying is it also happens to journalists. See, journalists are freaked out when it happens to them, when they're reporting a story and suddenly they're attacked. They don't expect to be attacked. They might expect Sean Penn to punch them out, you know, when they're taking a picture of him coming out of a club, but they don't expect that they can be victims. That's very unusual.
The thing that I'm so concerned about is that particular person that was been arrested for, you know, taking the video when they did this to Eric Garner. What have we done to help this particular person? You know, I mean, you know, I don't know. I'm certain they could figure out something they could arrest him for, but you know, what has been happening for this person who took the video? I
haven't followed the case, but I know it's very easy to charge someone with resisting arrest. It's one of the easiest charges to make. You know, and again, it comes down to mentality. You know, if you start seeing yourself as besieged by a host of enemies, then they're there. It's a real scary shift of consciousness in our police force. If you give them military weapons, how can they not think of themselves as military? If you gave all of us submachine guns, we would be different people in a year. I swear to it. How could we not? And if we trained with them every day for a year, and people, we would be subtly changed by that. And even if that's not our profession, but this is their profession. You know, that's what's so scary. That they are being armed in ways that are totally inappropriate to the jobs that they have to do. If you serve someone, you know, as I said, ordinary police work is now being done by SWAT teams. You know? Plus, they don't do their homework. They often go to the wrong house. And here in Michigan, people have been killed by SWAT teams. Children have been killed by SWAT teams. Just Google it, you'll find examples. It's really scary because it can happen to anyone. And that's not hyperbole. That really is the truth. It can happen to anyone. Even though the statistics have so far been 60% minorities, 40% non-minorities, well, what if you're in that 40% if you're not a minority? And even if those are the statistics, so what? So what? It shouldn't happen to anyone. Nobody should be the victim of a SWAT team raid for any reason unless they've done something and it's appropriate. And in most cases, it really is not appropriate. Yes?
Is there an alternative, or are you suggesting that the police return to the methods of 25 years ago?
Well, it depends, okay? If somebody is a tangible threat, yes, a SWAT team is appropriate. Kidnappings, hostages, bombings. I mean, there are places where SWAT teams are appropriate, totally appropriate, but they're not appropriate for ordinary police work. And that's what they're being used for more and more and more. And they're being used to scare the crap out of people. I mean, I've talked to people in the Lansing area who said, you know, well, for instance, they're being used against the mentally ill. I've seen plenty of videos on TV where people who are mentally ill are gunned down. Why? He lifted up a knife. Okay, you know, he was 20 or 30 feet. I mean, even if he had been in a circus, he couldn't have thrown that knife at you. I mean, come on. And that is really disgraceful, that people like that are targeted. So I don't think everything, I'm not saying SWAT teams should be disbanded. I think what needs to be done is they have to be used judiciously. But we have to put pressure on our local police to do that. And our local legislators. In the back?
Maybe time for 2 or 3 more questions.
Okay. It appears you say it's reached all across the nation. It's
yes.
Whatever state you go to, metropolitan, rural, whatever. What level of authority has control of these SWAT teams?
SWAT teams are under the control of local authorities, either the sheriff or the local police department.
Where did the military, Pentagon, whoever, where did it come from legislation, how to dispose?
Yeah, there was a bill that funneled all this excess weaponry to them. And there's also, simultaneously, there's also an enormous arms, we sell a lot of arms to foreign countries, but there's also a homegrown munitions industry that sells military-grade equipment to police departments.
Where are the politicians on this matter?
There actually is a bill in the House that's bipartisan that was introduced in September to stop this. It hasn't moved very far. Typical for the House. Two more.
Whoever wants to go first,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what your take is on police departments perhaps more across the country adding their own cameras to police themselves.
I think it's really important. I think a lot of them resist it, just like a lot of police won't report what they've seen. You know, the blue wall of silence. You know, what we saw happen in Maryland. Okay, the guy whose spine was broken in Maryland, okay, if you looked at the map of how he got from where he was to the police department, he was driven all around. He wasn't driven directly there. If you look it up, okay, he was given, quote unquote, a rough ride deliberately. Maryland, Baltimore and I think Philadelphia or Pittsburgh are known for giving prisoners rough rides. Okay, oh, so you think they're known for? Okay, people know this. Why hasn't this been reported? Well, if it's known inside the police department, why haven't they been informed on this? A code of silence. Okay, so somebody has to break that. Okay, and one way of breaking that is everybody having a library. However, people can obviously mess with digital film. I mean, you know, there may be a lot of ways around it, but I think a lot of forces will fight it.
One more?
One more?
Please, one more. There's questions that level B.
I challenge you to write something about the analogy of our entertainment world and the increase of violence in this country.
Violent.
Like right now?
I'd give you until a year from now. But I'm concerned that we have an entertainment world, be it movies, videos, that
They glamorize
normalize
that kind of violence.
and you know, anesthetize us all to violence if we don't.
Oh, absolutely, but God forbid you should see someone's naked buttocks, because if you did, the entire country would collapse, our moral fiber would disintegrate, and, you know, we'd be taken over by what, Mexico, China, Paraguay, I don't know, something like that. Yeah, I would take note of that. Maybe I'll be back in 5 years.
You would say no?
Thank you. Thanks for coming.